Hello and welcome back to another episode of BattleCHAT, where you guys chill out and I talk about BattleCon concepts. In this episode, we're going to talk about my BattleCon origin story. Now, I have played BattleCon for at least 5 years. At least 5 years? Wow. I played BattleCon for quite a long time, and though I do have some long breaks in those 5 years, I have played at least 400 games. But how did I start off playing BattleCon? Well, it all harkens back to around 5 or 6 years ago, when I was a high school student and I was recently getting into card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering. And as a Johnny player, if you guys don't know what a Johnny is a type of player that really likes making decks because he finds it to be a form of expression. So you like doing cool synergies, cool strategies, and all of that. So as a Johnny player, I really love playing card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering because I was able to make a deck with a game plan in mind, and executing on that game plan was really fun in my personal opinion. However, as a Johnny player, I also got really disappointed by those kinds of games because they would often really limit what you could do based on how lucky you were. Drawing cards from a deck is so frustrating for me because even though I am a Johnny player and I like synergies, if I don't draw the cards I need for my synergies, they don't happen. They just don't. And this is what really frustrated me with collectible trading card games, is that they usually never really became a display of your skill. No, of course, I am a Johnny player, and you'll say, Marco, Johnny players don't really care about skill and all that stuff. Yeah, I get that, but nobody's just a pure player, nobody's just pure Johnny. Some people are Spikes and Johnnies and Timmies all at the same time. And for me, it ended up being that I felt like the heart of the cards played too much of a role in those kinds of games. Sometimes people would win just because they drew the perfect curve. Sometimes people would win because you only drew lands and you'll never find any other cards in your deck except lands because all the lands are in the top 10 cards of your deck, and then you lose because you spend the first 10 turns doing nothing. It's just frustrating to have that happen to you, getting mana screwed, getting landlocked, and all of that stuff. It's just really, really bad. So at the end of the day, this really left a bad taste in my mouth when it came to trading card games and collectible card games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. So I was scrounging the internet one day, and you know how Google is, wherein they check your search history and they give you advertisements based on the kind of stuff that you like. And it noticed that I searched for a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic stuff, and it gave me an ad for this weird game called BattleCon, War of Indians. And when I noticed the ad, one thing really caught my eye. Not the art, not the name, but because it had one phrase: no randomness. As a guy who really hated randomness at this point, and note this is way before I played Hearthstone, I was really shocked by this because a card game that has no randomness seemed like such a foreign concept to me because I only grew up playing Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! So when I clicked the link and saw that it was a fighting game, I was like, what? So it's a fighting game that has no random elements, and it's also a card game. I was practically wetting my pants at how perfect that all seemed. Because I've always wanted to get into fighting games, but couldn't because I had no technical skill to do so. I've always wanted to play a card game that didn't have random elements in it, and this seemed like the game for me. However, there was one problem. I was really stressed on that day, and then I clicked on the ad, but then closed it. And then I forgot about it for a long, long time. A really long time. And one day, after having given up Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And just playing video games instead, I realized that my lunch breaks were really empty. My friends and I were just like not really doing much. And one lazy weekday, I was just on my computer and I remember reading about that card game that had no random elements in it. What was that called? I couldn't remember what BattleCon was called. So I googled card game, no random elements, and I couldn't find it still until I remembered that it was a fighting game. So I typed fighting card game, no random elements. And that's how I found BattleCON, War of Indians. And sad to say, I had missed out on the Kickstarter, so I wasn't able to back it. However, I was able to pledge for it on PayPal. And I really like this because this is a testament to how awesome Level 99 Games is, because they have a lot of Kickstarter exclusive promos, and they have a lot of really cool and awesome characters. And I guess it was their first Kickstarter for BattleCon, because they already had made Mystic Empyrean before. And I was really wondering if I could get some of those promos, because I had just missed the last day of the Kickstarter. So they were accepting pledges through PayPal and through their site. And then I emailed Brad and was like, hey Brad, I recently just found your game, and I've been wanting it for a while, but I missed out on the Kickstarter, and I was wondering if, even if I'm kinda late by like one day, could I still get those promos if you guys have any extra copies left? And to my shock, Brad sent me a personal email back. He said that fine, like, you know, you emailed me, took the time to message, and sure, I'll send some of the extras if there are any left after the Kickstarter backers have their stuff. And lo and behold, I was sent the awesome promos for War of Indians, which comprised of Danny, the Sinner, Robert the Saint, and Claus and Wendell. I absolutely attribute my love for BattleCon to that email, because it set the stage for a lot of things to come. It set the stage for me loving Level 99 Games as a company in its entirety, because not only are they really awesome at making great games, their customer service is amazing. I mean, if the CEO or the president of the company essentially personally messages you back when you email him about the promos, that's a pretty cool, pretty big deal. And of course, my friends were really excited that we were getting these promos. So that's one. But number two, it also means that I got access to Robert the Saint, who ended up kindling my love for this game, and my love for stupid big attacks and stupid numbers. Because, as I've said, I am a Johnny who likes cool effects, but I'm also a Spike because I love skill, and as many of you may know, I am a Timmy because I love big dumb attacks. And Robert ended up being the representation of all three of those things, because not only was he a very competitive character, he was also a very creative character, because you could modify how he started out, you can modify the use of his tokens, you can modify how you use them, and he had a lot of interesting combos that weren't explicit. They were all implicit. So, for example, Robert could anti his Sapiens token to teleport anywhere on the board, but if you played Rosary along with the Sapiens, you could get a free teleport, which essentially turns into a secondary dash most of the time. And this is implicit, because Robert's attacks didn't explicitly say, spend your Sapiens to immediately move directly to any space on the board. No, it's just like, you know, Sapiens, anti it. Oh, but you can regain it again with Rosary in the same beat. So stuff like that is very cool and very interesting, and you can execute that game plan without having to draw from a stupid deck. And that was really cool for me because, you know, it felt smart to think of that strategy, because the first time I did it, my friends were like, oh man, that's so cool, because they hadn't realized that I could do that. And when I realized that I could do it, it became a tech. It became something that you could do as Robert. It became something that my friends knew that I could do as Robert because I found out how to do it. And that's awesome. That's like so cool. And he did it with simple effects that were non-explicit. He just had a token that let him teleport, and he just had a base that let him regain a token on the same beat. That was it. That was it, and it was so good. Robert is such a great character when it comes to understanding what's really fun design for me, because I really like emergence, so I really don't like the characters whose styles and text boxes are like 5 sentences long and all of their cool combos are essentially laid out before you. You know, it's like so there. It practically says, hey, use this style with this base. But Robert wasn't like that. Robert's usefulness for his styles and his bases were all really modular and really awesome depending on your token antes, token starting pool, depending on how you chose to ante, how you chose to keep tokens, choosing which tokens to start off with. It was really good and really fun to play Robert. And he ended up being the character I have the most games with. I think I have at least 70 games with Robert, at least, because I played like 400, and I'm pretty sure that at least 1/4 of those games are me as Robert. And it's really fun. It's really fun. Robert was a character that taught me how cool BattleCon can be and how cool you can get with simple mechanics. So in the end, that's my BattleCon story. I started off, playing card games, hated the randomness, found BattleCon, emailed Brad if I could get some of the promos, and those promos ended up making me love the game so much that here we are, at least 58 episodes of Battle Guides later. But hey, that's just my story, and that's just me having a little battle chat. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, do put them in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to read them and reply to every single one. If you guys have your own stories to tell, how did you get into BattleCon? Put those into the comment section down below as well, because I'd love to see how you guys found out about BattleCon in the first place. And of course, if you guys have any topics you want me to discuss on this YouTube channel, do put those in the comment section down below as well, because they will become the topic for a future video. Without much else to say, thanks for watching, and good night.